Hello, hello, hello. I finally kind of sort of got my act together with me. That's always a, a mixed can of worms, but I've been meaning to try to get this shot and put together for you guys, and I'm finally with it. It's been just really hectic for the last few days, and for that I beg for forgiveness. But I have put on a few shopping videos, so hopefully that will, have kept you entertained and know why I've been like, going crazy. Anyway, I am coming back at you with what should be a Valentine's card, but we all know that Valentine's was a couple of days ago, but love is still in the air. And I just really like this. This is one of my Tuesday morning finds, and I'm always promising you guys that I'm going to make stuff with what I buy. So I'm making good on this. So I really, really loved this die. I love the paper, which let me reach down. Hang on a second. Oops, because that would also mean I'm combining some of my purchases. So this is my Tuesday morning find. This is one of the pads I got from my Frank Garcia run. So that's what I use to make this card. Although I've already pre-cut some of it so I can get moving further. So when I went to Frank Garcia, I bought both this pad, and the larger pad. That wasn't my intent, but by the same token, I'm not unhappy that I have both of them. So I realized that here it ran a little bit short. I'm not real happy, so I'm going to use the larger piece so that I have more paper play. And then for the flowers, I went ahead, and of course these are just flowers I had in my stash. God only knows how long I've had them, but they were there. And then the little stems came out of my large die of the month from January, which I'm also planning on doing something with. I just didn't get to it, and there you go. But you know what? There's always a use for a card with hearts. So you may still see me put something together other than let it sit there and vegetate until next year. That's just anathema to me. So we will be pledging catch up as best we can. So anyway, let me come back. What I'm going to go ahead and do is go ahead and die cut this all apart from you. This is not rocket science. We all know how to die cut. So I may set it up. So let me come back. I am going to come back, and before I die cut, just to see how I set it up, and then die cut and come back and put this all together. Okay, give me a second. Fast enough. I did want to show you a few things first before I start die cutting. So this card, all this is, the base is 6. It's not quite 6. It's actually, to be technically, it is 5.5. Technically, it's 5 7/16 because you'll still see a little bit of a lip here. So I just went and cut it at 5.5 because I was going to make myself crazy anyway. But when you put the die up against it, let me show you how. And it's 2 pieces because you have to both put the die itself and then the edge that cuts the die, which is the other one. Whoops. Never fails. No matter what you grab, it's the wrong one. And there we go. So these 2 pieces have to be cut on the edge. Obviously, I'm going to cut it flat out, not on the fold, otherwise it will be a mess. But this is how we cut this out, these 2 pieces. So obviously it'll come off a little bit off the edge. And that's okay. Right here, this card is not its intended finish. I do plan on cutting another piece like this. I cut this and I wasn't sure if I want to use it, but my sentiment will go here. And I grabbed this because I like that this also comes from a Spellbinders, one of my, myriad of Spellbinders I have. Because what I wanted to do was stamp a sentiment using some of these that I got from Anna Griffin. This is one of my Anna Griffin compendiums. So I could use, even though it doesn't fit the shape, but I could say like with gratitude will fit right in there. Happy birthday will fit right in there. So I'm leaving myself open as to what I'm going to use this card by just having this pre-cut and set aside. So it lends itself, so it doesn't have to be a Valentine's card. It could be a perfectly good birthday card or anything like that. So, think outside of the box when you're doing some of these things. It just doesn't have to be Valentine's, although it will be, and I'll now have 2, so I may save one and send it out next year. So we'll see. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and set this up. I'm going to die cut these 2 pieces. Now, here's the deal. This is how this part is going to be cut out. Now, these pieces, which will come over here on this side, and I did 3 layers. What I've decided, I didn't like the stacked. Also, I never sold myself on it, one inside the other, so they're all going to be flush against the card, and there you go. Like it or leave it. That's what I plan on doing. But here's the tricky part. When you do something like this where you're going to abut it up against the die itself or the cutout, here is the piece. But this piece, you can't put it in this way or you're not going to be happy. You have to do it this way because this part cuts out here. Do you see what I'm saying? So this is going to be shaped. So all I have to do is I'm going to tape each down. I'm going to have to cut these 3 pieces and just center this more or less and tape it down and then run it through my die cutter. But I have to center it. When you're doing this, be very careful. I'm just warning you guys that you put your literally your paper down and make sure that that peak matches the center of this. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. And then I'll tape it down. I ran into that. I did that with the other ones. So there'll always be a little bit here. Obviously, not so much there, but on this one, there's always going to be a ledge, which is why we put the sentiment here to cover that up. Alrighty. So I'm going to go ahead and set this, die cut it, and I'll be right back. I'm back, and truly I had the complete intention of getting this done during my lunch hour. That so didn't happen. Things never work out the way the Mad Scrapper wants. So I am back now, so with different lighting, and I was trying to work with a lot more daylight so that I didn't have so much glare from my glass mat. By the same token, what I have realized in watching real quick the video is that my phone, the camera was having trouble focusing, and I'm thinking it was because of a lighting issue. So we're back to the bright light. I'm so sorry. So I have die cut this on both my card, my 3 matting pieces, and of course the inside mat. It took a couple of passes. It took like 3 passes. I think I went 4 passes, and I probably went at least 1 pass too many. And I should have taken the time to poke them out, because it is a bit of a chore to poke these out, even with, you know, I used the brush end of my pokey tool and whatnot. So I probably, I should have used wax paper. I know better. Hello. But there it is. I didn't, and I paid for it. So I want to go ahead and let's quickly do the matting on this. This is like nothing. No, this is not rocket science. This is just make sure, for one, that it is right side up, because the last thing you want to do is send a card with your, or me at least, although nobody would be surprised, I'm sure, but this is me we're talking about, okay? Sending it upside down. So I'm just going to really quickly, kind of sort of in my own, you know, way, just go ahead and get this matted. So I've gone ahead and I cut this piece. Is it really upside? No, it's not upside down. Okay. I cut this 4 by 5.5, just basically the size of the card. And I'm just going to flush it right, because I just want this to be visible from when you open from behind the deck, the hearts themselves. So let me, and you know what? I didn't trim this piece down. That's okay. I'll trim it afterwards. I'm talented in that way, or crazy, whichever. So there it is. So see, it does stick out a little tiny bit. So give me a second. I'm going to go ahead, but now at least it gives a pretty background behind it. And it is right here. Your only space to really put in your sentiment, whether it's a stamp and to write your note, is going to be here. It's a bit unorthodox. But what rule is there? Is there some unwritten law somewhere that I don't know about, that the sentiment always has to be on the right side? You know, so help you gosh forever and ever. Amen. I think this is just part of the creativity. I will figure out when I get ready to give this card away to whomever it is, I will then figure out whether I get a stamp and I straddle. I mean, what the heck? Or, you know, on the one side, I don't know. I do not know what I'm going to do. But what I do know, and I'm saying this, is I'm not going to stress over it. It just is. And again, if they don't like it, if somebody dares complain, I'm going to punch them in the nose. I'm going to take my card back, and it's all good. Okay? But give me a second. Let me trim this thing back, all right? I'm back. I'm so sorry, guys. I was thinking afterwards, my goodness, man, I'm so violent. I think I've been watching too much news, or I don't know, you know, too much Marvel movies. Because I thought about it afterwards. I'm talking about punching people in the nose and whatnot. It's like, goodness gracious. I am the most non-violent person. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm Cuban, so I'm a yeller. That, you know, hello. You know, my husband says, why do you want to yell? And I go, I'm Cuban. What do you mean? You want to gag me? Tie my hands up. You know, because I'm always doing this if I'm talking. So it's who I am. I am many things. Quiet is not one of them. But let me go ahead now. Let's get this matting down very quickly. So hopefully I'm not doing a 3-hour video. I'm trying to be a little bit more considerate of your time, because I know you guys hang out with me and you have other things to do, like, you know, clean the kitchen or cook dinner or laundry. And why are you doing that and not playing? Seriously? Not that, you know, my kitchen is clean, and it's not that I don't have a backup of laundry. You know, hello. I'm the worst person. But, okay, so I'm just going to mat these down just one at a time. And I'm just going to line this up, because I already took the time to trim this. before I came back on camera. For once I did something, you know, so I did cut this a little smidgen bigger on purpose, just to have wiggle room, because I'd rather take a second and trim down if I have to than do it not be than it to be short in paper and then have to waste more paper. So that's just how I roll. And now I'm ready for the pink layer. And I really do, personally, I really do like this better than the nesting one inside of the other. But that's just my taste. So I know you guys do this or a similar card. Do, at the end of the day, my point is, do what makes you happy. And that no one like, oh my gosh, no, I should have done this. Or look, the sample I was looking at, you know, from Pinterest, or, you know, she did it that way and I need to do it that way. No, you don't. You do whatever makes you happy, whatever makes sense. You do your own spin on it. So this is my own spin on this lovely handy dandy card. So let me just, as I'm banging things around, geesh, I'm just going to lay this, put this little piece down as well, and just flush it against the back end, the side end, all ends. And this one, look, see, I can tell this is a little wonky. So no matter how hard you try, I have burning a candle here. I almost stuck my finger in the flame. Fire! I'm going to lift this up, and hopefully I did not. Come on, Myra. Or should I just, what do you guys think? Maybe I should be just busting out the undo, right? But I knew I hadn't pressed down very hard. So I'm going to literally, I want to make this even. There we go, because that will be more pleasing to the eye. And oh my goodness, I don't even know if I'm going to trim that. We'll have to see. It's not noticeable. So there we go. Now I like that better. I'm happy now. And now all I have to do is put this pretty piece on top. And yes, thank God I had the presence of mind of cutting in the right direction, because we all know I'm perfectly capable of doing crazy things like that, like cutting things upside down and backwards. And, you know, what, name your mistake. Trust me on this, people. I've done it already. I have written the book on that. So that's why I tell you, don't stress it, because look at me. I'm still, for the most part, a happy camper. But we'll not talk about, you know, the times I may have spilt, you know, coffee on a project or something like that. No, because I've never done that. Right. And if you believe that, I've got swampland and Cuba to sell you. But now now I'm going to do is, yes, I'm going to line it up, but I also want to make sure that that gap is more or less symmetrical, pretty even. So this one, I apparently cut that better. Yay me. So now I've got my card ready to, now all I have are my little bits here. And I went through looking for stuff. I go, what can I use for stems? And that's when you start going through all of your dies. And this was I didn't have to dig very deep, because these were kind of handy, because I haven't put it into inventory yet, which means I have to, I photograph it and then I enter it on my phone so that I can the idea being that I can, you know, look up dies and look up like Spellbinders. I know everything I have. Now asks me, what do I do? In reality, I turn around and go into the Spellbinders bin. And so I don't know why, but actually the one real reason to do that is that when I go shopping or when I go to Expo or something like that, I can at least try not to duplicate stuff, because I have quite a stash going on of things that I'm going to destash. And so I will probably be doing a destash sale on, and that will be on from my, and I'll launch it probably from my Facebook page, the Scrap Mandis Designs. But I will give you guys a heads up if anybody's interested in acquiring some of the stuff, because I have, like everybody else, way too much stuff. I'm trying to go KonMari on my stuff, and yeah, we'll see when that happens. We'll see. But anyway, having said that, let me pull out my who knows how old flowers, and let me just grab some of them. And then let's get started on setting this up. So give me a second, because one of the things I did, and I got to do this carefully, is I pulled off these little green ribbons, because I already have the greenery. So there's no reason to have these. So I need to do this painstakingly, as you can tell, and carefully, so that I don't do that. So I'll be right back. So I am back. The break was longer than it needed to be, because being a mad scrapper, being highly ADD, I am phenomenally distracted. So as I was pulling these apart and I looked left to my keyboard, and I have it here to my left on top of my Gemini, and I looked and there was an itsy bitsy spider, going across the keyboard, and I watched him, and then he climbed to the edge of the keyboard and then dropped, and then I watched him drop, the little line down about halfway down to the ground, and he said, "Oh yeah, this is really far." And it's like, and then I watched him back up and crawl all the way back up to on top of the keyboard, and then that's when I realized that I actually needed to use it, because believe it or not, at the same time I'm shooting this, I'm editing, and I moved the keyboard, so there went the spider. But it was hilarious. So I'm sitting there for 5 minutes watching the little spider doing his upping and downing. I probably scared him to death. Who knows? He might have had a heart attack now, but sorry. This is, you guys, this is the insanity you put up with. I don't know why you come back just to listen to, my nuts. Anyway, I am ready now to glue my stems in, so I'm going to do the Myra method of putting a pool of glue on my mat, and I'm going to, if you've seen, I already put my stems more or less where I want them. I am crazy anal retentive about this, and I really want them to be in that place, which is why I'm going to do it the way I did it, because the last time, I'm not happy still with how I did these stems, and that was because I had them set up perfectly, and then I lifted them up thinking I was going to put it back the way I want it. It didn't work out that way. And don't mind the squeaky toy. That's my phone telling me I have a text, because that would require me to remember to made it quiet, but that's not going to happen. Who knows? For right now, that's probably a daughter saying, "Hey, there's a raid," because we do, remember I told you guys I Pokemon Go. So I'm just going to take that, and I'm going to dip it in the glue and put it in more or less where I wanted it. And now I'm going to do the same with this guy. I'm going to dip it in the glue. And right now it doesn't matter who's on top and who's on bottom and all of that. I just want it down. So let's do that. I think I needed to make it the puddle a little. There we go. You know what? It's sticking up. I actually like that. So, I'm not getting an undesired effect now that I think about it. Now let me put my little stopper in here. And so while I'm trying to keep that glue from drying, this glue will dry, because that's the way I roll. And I'm going to turn this away, because I tend to work, cattywampus. I can't have anything straight up. I have to have it angled. Why? I don't know. That's just my way. And I'm going to bite it and move this one. And hopefully that one didn't get glue where I don't want it. Oh, well, no, I'm not going to do that, because it's already glued down. Isn't that funny? Oops. So I guess this one's on top. It's not going to be, by the time I put down the flowers, it's not really going to be noticeable. So I've got those four, and I wanted to put one more down. I put 6 flowers on the last one, and I wasn't necessarily happy with that either. Because you normally, you should do odd numbers. I don't know where that unwritten rule came from, but it seems to work for me as well. It's supposed to be more pleasing to the eye. I don't know. But I'm wanting to use a little branch, because quite frankly, that's all I have left. I used up all the big branches, and I really, 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 really don't want to cut another one off. So I can make it work probably by doing that. And let me see if I lay down my ribbon. That's going to work. So nobody's going to know that I used a short one. You guys are going to tell me, right? Okay, good. Thank you. I'm sorry. You guys, you just come back and just to listen to me, just, have poop of the mouth constantly. I listen, and I too, like you, watch all these other fantastical ladies do these wonderful things, and they're so painstakingly explain it, and I just have diarrhea of the mouth. I explain next to nothing, and I just go on and on and on and prattle. So you guys are hanging out with me. I don't know why. Bless you though. Okay, so now we have all my greenery, and I'm happy with how that looks. And you don't know, but one of the branches I was very careful putting down was this guy. I wanted him over here, so hopefully nobody's going to notice. Either that, or I've drawn complete attention to it. To this top layer, I actually did make a bit of an error, and it's not centered to the other two. But I'm hoping that between flowers and whatnot, that I'm going to distract whoever is looking, and they won't notice that. Shh, don't tell, okay? Who knows? It's not like I have this monstrous following, so it's not like the world will know. And we'll put that one there. So now it's just more about me laying down and putting my flowers where they make me happy, or not, but they're just going. And why am I using tweezers? Really? This is ridiculous. I don't need to. And then, what I may do is then put my, let me stand up to see. But I like that, putting the ribbon a little bit cattywampus. And you know what, even if it isn't, that's what's going to happen. So I'm going to leave it that way, and I'm going to grab my reptile glue, because really I should probably just use my hot glue gun, but that means I need to take another break and heat that all up. And these guys I use, and they're glued in really well. If you can see, I used my reptile glue to glue these guys down. So just so you know. And I did want to mention one thing, and I didn't, and I'm so sorry. You may have noticed that I have a piece of purple tape here. That is a total Kathy Zilski trick. And that way it keeps my card closed so that I can work this. So, and I have another one stuck to the back of my card to keep it in place on my glass mat, on the theory that I don't want to move it. But as you've seen, I've already moved it to angle it, because I tend to work, I don't know why I can't work, it doesn't feel right to work straight up. I have to always be working at an angle, because that's my jam. So now we're just going to put down little puddles of glue, and hopefully it is. I need to, and this, you think this is long enough. Oh yeah, it was coming out. I'm just impatient. Poor glue. I've hurt its feelings now. I'm sure I've offended the glue. I don't know. Can you offend a reptile? I mean, look, it's a pretty evil eye. What do you think? God, I'm a nut. But okay, so we're just going to put that rose down. I'm going to smash it in place so that hopefully it stays right there, in theory, like communism. It looks all great on paper and in this mat scrapper's brain, but there we go. So it's sticking. It just takes a minute, but this glue does. It's one of the things I like about it, is that it sets for the same reason that I like, the opposite reason of why I like Barely Art, because this sets pretty quickly. Comes out really watery, so looks can be deceiving, but it does set up really, fairly quickly. So I can hold that there for a second or 5 there, and it will then take its place. So it's facing up, which is what I want it to do. I do not want it to be at an angle. Now this guy, let me see, and I'm hopefully this guy's just not going to cooperate. He's going to do his thing until, oh look, now suddenly, to make me look bad, did you see that? Just when I was saying he's not going to cooperate, and suddenly, yeah, show you, lady. We're going to put that one right here, whether, good, bad, or otherwise. It's, it is. That's going to be its place. And there we go. So I'm just going to press that down for a couple of minutes, or seconds, rather, not minutes. You want to be sitting here watching my finger smash a ribbon rose. And now I will grab that one, and I'm going to just stick one there at the intersection of everybody. I'll put that flower right there. Why I'm using the tweezers, because I'm going to smash it down with my finger anyway. But I'm going to hold that there for just, see, not even that. Because this one's a flatter one. Yeah. It wants to take its place. And then we'll take this one. It's a little bit off left field. Leftist. Ugh. Shh, don't tell anybody. And we're just going to put that one down right there. And that's going to stay right there. So this is working out really nicely. And then I'm just going to put down my little bow, kind of cattywampusy, because that's just the way I roll. And put that little ribbon right there. Yeah. And there it is. So give me a minute. I'm going to let this set up, okay? Alrighty then, I have returned. The card is dead. It's so now it's all nice and dry. So flowers and ribbon are going nowhere, whether I like it or not. But I'm happy. It's not perfect, but you know what? It is, again, like my friend Shauna says, it is the beauty of a handcrafted item. The one thing that's driven me bananas is the situation with what I was going to put with the stamp, and I went, this is what I originally cut. I didn't like it. And I cut this one, and I liked it, but I wasn't totally sold on it either. And I was thinking, maybe I need to cut it in white. It just, I don't know. So I went back. I'm like, okay, Mara, we need to start busting stuff out. Let's go in search of. So I started going through my die bins, and I hit on this guy. Whoops, as I send it flying. And this guy, as some of you remember, if you watch my videos, this is from my Tonic mystery bag. So it was one of those, okay, yeah, great. I'm not sure how to use it, but you know what? Yay. And look, it saved the day for me. I am happy. The only thing I'm undecided is to whether the sentiment will be in white or I will stamp it in pink. I'm like I suddenly what comes to mind is that scene from the cartoon Sleeping Beauty, Disney Sleeping Beauty, you know, where it's Merryweather and I forget which is the other fairy that's going back and forth saying make it pink, make it white, make it pink, or in their case it was make it blue, make it pink. So I'm like, make it white, make it pink. I don't know. So I'm going to leave them both literally tucked into the card until I decide what I'm going to do. One other thing, again, that I realized that I've done to myself by dimensional, like making this dimensional, I've made it difficult to now stamp straight into the card. So whatever I do, it's probably going to involve, quite frankly, maybe a panel. I can grab one of these or a shape, name your shape, and I'm going to tuck it right into there or on this side, whichever, and that way, and put my stamp on it. So obviously it is not going to be a heck of a lot of sentiment because of that, because now I've added a layer of difficulty. But doesn't matter. I'm going to make it work. It will be different. It will be unusual. And who knows, maybe I'll make it into a pop-up. What do you think? Because I've got the mechanism to do that, to make the sentiment. So when I open it, it'll go, whoop, and it'll be fine. So we'll see. I'm not going to worry about that now. As far as I am concerned, this is an unfinished card, because until I decide what I'm going to do, that's when these little panels will go down, and that doesn't mean that I may not just do, you know, a double panel or something like that. What do you think? Who knows? You know, that's the thing about creativity. You do what makes you happy. So I'm not going to worry about it. So there you have it, guys. A quickie, sort of quickie card. If you like this, please, by all means, give me a thumbs up. If I even made you laugh once, it's worth it to me. If you want to see more of my madness, by all means, subscribe and ring the bell so you know when I'm back on with more insanity. Otherwise, as always, guys, take care of yourselves. Have a great evening. Go forth. Create something beautiful, okay? And always remember, we're all a little mad here, so scrap the madness, okay? Talk to you guys later. Bye.